I love Tristana. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, Jack, why are you making a Tristana guide? Aren't you a Draven one-trick pony? Well, you are right, but seeing as how Draven has been banned so much recently, I've had to pick other champions. And my go-to pick has been Tristana. So I want to teach all of you Draven one-trick ponies and all you other people, or other players, how to play Tristana, because I've had quite a decent success with her. And I feel like she is a pretty easy champion to pick up, but there are still a few tips and tricks that I think can help you a long way and can make you a much better Tristana player. And I also think that if you are looking for an easy ADC to start playing, then Tristana is definitely the ADC for you. She takes pretty little to pick up. I'd say probably she's one of the easiest ADCs to pick up because you're so safe, and the only way you can really fuck up is just by jumping in. So if you just like always say to yourself, don't jump in unless it's like 100%, then you'll usually be fine at least. And she also has a really good late game and a pretty good mid game as well, and a good 3-item spike. So yeah, I'd say she's really good, and she's also really good in the meta with Ardent Sensor support and tanks and stuff. So yeah, let's get into the guide. So usually I would start this guide with talking about matchups and which matchups Tristana are good in and which she is bad in, or what you should do in different matchups. But with Tristana, I feel like that's not really necessary because you'll be playing sort of the same no matter what. You are going to be playing pretty passive in lane. Tristana is pretty weak in the early game. You won't really be getting any kills. The only way you can get kills with Tristana in the early game is if the enemy fuck up very bad, or if your support is someone like an engaged support with like Thresh or Leona or Blitzcrank, and if they get like a hook, then you can get kills, but you can't really like do something on your own. You don't really have that great trading before 6, you don't really have that much burst. Sure, you can sometimes do like a cheese with like getting a W off twice with the fact that your E, if you get 4 stacks of your E, then your W cooldown is reset, so you can sort of use that to get like a double jump. But other than that, there's not really that much you do in the early game. I'd say your biggest spike is level 6, because that way you get a really high burst potential with your bomb on your E and your ultimate, and if you combine those, then you can really surprise someone with how much damage you'd output. But I haven't really been able to get almost any kills in the early game, because you don't really have that much damage compared to many other ADCs, and yeah, the ADC has probably to fuck up pretty bad. But you do actually have like a really good slow with your W, so if you're getting ganked, then you should just jump onto them. So, or if the jungler is ganking you, I mean, if you're getting ganked, then you should jump away. But if your jungler is ganking you, then you could jump onto them, get the slow onto them, and it's probably a guaranteed kill. So if you are stronger, then you should jump onto them and try to get the slow on them, because if you get the slow, then you can probably get a free kill, and that's like the only way for you to get a kill early game. But most of the time, it's pretty risky to jump in because Tristana isn't that strong, so I'd recommend, if you don't really know your strength or know if you can fight them or not, then to save your jump to disengage, because that'll save you a lot of deaths. Now, actually one matchup related tip that I have for you guys is the W that you can use to cancel CC. This is extremely important in very many matchups, especially against champions like Blitzcrank, where, as I'll show you on the screen right now, you can cancel his hook with your W. And the way you time this is that you first get hit by the CC, and then you sort of start your W. Because if you start your W too early, then you'll start your W and then get hooked while in your W. But if you start too late, then your W won't get off, and you'll just be hooked in. But that's still better than starting it too early, because then you can just cancel his E on Blitzcrank instead, which has also happened to me. I failed to cancel his Q, but I managed to cancel his E, so it wasn't that bad. But this is extremely important in any matchup, almost, seeing as most of bot lane matchups have CC. Against Varus ultimate, this is also applicable to ganks. If you're being ganked by a Zac, dodging his E with his ECC with this, Sejuani ult, all this kind of stuff, right, where you can dodge CC. It's very important to get the timing right, and I'd say it's one of the most skillful factors with Tristana. And the second part I want to touch up on is CSing, which can also be very hard because of your E. But you have to remember that your E deals less damage in the early game than your auto attacks. So if there are one a bit more health minion and one lower health minion, then you should take the higher health minion and try to let your E kill the lower health one. But later on, if you don't back for a certain period of time, your E will start to deal more damage than your auto attacks, and then you have to switch that up. And you also want to try not to get pushed into tower, because it's very hard to CS with Tristana under tower because of your E. And you also want to try to use the active of your E to try to just get minions under tower, so you can just clear very fast and you don't have to really wait a lot. Because if you're waiting and trying to do the standard where you let your tower hit the minion and then you hit it, then you'll probably miss a lot of CS because your E passive fucks that up pretty hard. But yeah, that was pretty much it for the matchups part. Now on to the build. The build that you want to go for Tristana is pretty standard. First of all, you want to run 18, 0, 12 Masteries as shown on the screen, taking the Keystone Warlords. Warlords is really good at the moment, and it's also really good with the build that I will be showing you, which I 100% firmly believe is the best Tristana build, and that there is no other Tristana build that is even close to being as good as this. First, you want to start off with getting a BF sword as fast as possible, preferably on your first back, and if you don't have enough for that, a pickaxe, and if you don't have enough for that, then you can do like a coal and boots, or you can just do like a coal or just boots or just a dagger. And then you want to get your BF sword, as I said, as soon as possible. And once you have that, you can get a pickaxe and then a zeal, and then finish that off into an infinity edge, and then get a static shiv. And you can get boots either after infinity edge or after static shiv, depending on when you have time for that. And for boots, you can either go Berserker Greaves or Ninja Tabby or Merc Treads. I tend to go Berserker Greaves because you won't really need the Ninja Tabby, because you won't really be getting hit that much. You'll mostly have very long range later on in the game, so I think that the extra attack speed is usually more beneficial. And then, once you have Static Shiv and Infinity Edge, you want to get Rapid Fire Cannon. And this synergizes very well with both Static Shiv and with Warlords, and this makes you 3-item Power Spike extremely strong. And I'd say this is when you can start hard carrying the game and really just destroying everybody with like 3-shotting people from extremely long range, and then also having the burst from your ult and your E, and having the attack speed from your Q, and having like a lot of mobility. Tristana is extremely good at this point, and if you can just sort of like survive until this point, then you'll start doing a lot more once you have these 3 items. So that should be your goal every game. What my goal is pretty much to maybe get a few early kills, try not to make any that aggressive plays, and once I have these 3 items, that's when I can start doing stuff. And after that, it's sort of situational. It sort of depends on whether or not you want armor penetration. That's usually what I go with, a Mortal Reminder. If they have a lot of tanks, then getting a Last Whisper is very important. And if they don't have any tanks, which is pretty rare, but that might happen, then you can go Bloodthirster or Mercurial Scimitar if they have some CC. Or you can go GA if they have like a Zed or a ton of assassins that's killing you all the time. But my standard build is usually getting Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, Rapid Fire Cannon, and then Mortal Reminder, and then a lifesteal item that's either Bloodthirster or Mercurial Scimitar, depending on whether or not they have CC. And for runes, they're also pretty basic, just 3 attack speed quints, 9 AD marks, 9 armor seals, and 6 magic resist glyphs, and 3 attack speed glyphs. These are pretty standard runes, you can use them for pretty much any ADC. This is pretty basic. Tristana wants armor, like any ADC. She also wants a magic resist, although if you are playing against a team that has full AD, then you can also make a separate rune page that has just attack speed glyphs and no magic resist glyphs, but this is pretty rare, so I'd say just running this basic rune page is gonna do you well most of the time. You can also go 1% crit if you want to do that. I personally don't do it, sort of like just a cheese strat. I guess if it works, then it can do a lot, but in most of your games it won't work and you'll have 1 less rune. So yeah, that's just my opinion on it. Also, the skill order should be pretty obvious, but you max E, then Q, then Alt, and then W. And I also want to touch a bit upon what you should do as Tristana more in the early game, more than I just did in the matchup, sort of as a closing note of this Tristana guide. You should really be focusing on, in the early game, just getting CS, and if your support is really good, is a good engaged support, then you might be able to look for something, but Tristana doesn't have the most damage, she doesn't have the most burst early game, but the only thing she has is her W. So, be careful in the early game, don't get too hyphy. That has happened to me. I jumped in, I'm like, I'm going in, and then I just died, didn't get any resets, and I sorta put myself behind. And in the mid game, that's when you can start getting a bit more spicy, you start getting a lot stronger, and that's when you hit that beautiful 3-item spike. That's when you can give them the Tristana. That's where you can shove it up. Shove the Tristana up there. Shove that Tristana up. That's when you can give it to them. So just wait for that, and then you can think it's all worth it. I love Tristana. I'm just imagining the 3-item spike, and I start orgasming. It's so beautiful. If you're not behind by the time you've gotten 3 items, and you have an Ardent Sensor support, or just a team behind you, then you can solo carry. It's beautiful. So yeah, just play safe until then. And once you get better at her and realize more the burst you have, then you can start challenging yourself, because Tristana does have a lot of burst at level 6. She can one-shot someone almost. With like, if you get 4 auto attacks on the E and then you ult, that's like 400 damage. Just those 2 abilities. And also your auto attacks deal like 200 damage. Suddenly you have 600 damage in a 2 to 3 second time span, which is a lot of damage that people often don't expect, and I've gotten a lot of like cheese kills doing this. So once you get more comfortable with her, start knowing more of her damage, then you can start doing this. And also in the early game, should be trying to push as much as possible with your E, and you're pretty safe towards ganks because you have your W just to get away, and as long as you don't use your W on the enemy when you're getting ganked, then you should be okay there. And if you're pushing in, then you won't get your minions to the tower, which is probably the hardest part of playing Tristana, is the last hitting under tower. So I'd say if you're pushing in, that's a very beneficial situation for Tristana. But yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. And yeah, if you have any thoughts on this guide, then leave a comment down below. And please like this video if you enjoyed, it helps a ton. And we're almost at 3,000 subscribers. We're currently like 25 subscribers away, something like that. And if we can hit that, that would be amazing. Thank you all guys so much for the support, and subscribe if you want to see more League of Legends related content. And yeah, I love you guys, and thank you everything. Thank you for everything so far. I really mean that. It's been amazing. I love reading your guys' comments. It's so cool just to like have this small community, and yeah, appreciate it a lot.